this cold. What's up guys, welcome back to my channel. My name is Lenny, your favorite aspiring trichologist in the neighborhood. Lego guys, it's real out here. Sis caught a cold and it's difficult, but because I promised you guys a video with my soldier on, I'm going to be taking my med lemon for colds and flus, so hopefully it'll do me justice. Anywho, in today's video I'm going to be sharing with you guys exactly what to look out for on your products for high porosity hair. Remember, we're doing a 5-part series on understanding your hair structure, which looks at the outer layer of your hair, which is the cuticle layer, which acts as a doorway and a gateway, protecting your hair and also opening up to little moisture, to little nourishment. So if you want to learn more on that, on how it operates and all of those, please make sure you watch part 1, part 2, part 3 and part 4 of this series, so that you're up to date and you're familiar with everything that we're going to be discussing today. For the sake of this video and for the sake of my health, let's jump right into it. You guys already know that I have high porosity hair. I'm going to be sharing some of my personal tips on what ingredients I love in my products, so stay tuned to the end of this video so that you don't miss out on that. And one other thing, one reason to stay to the end of this video, we're gonna have a big giveaway announcement, so you definitely don't want to miss out. When it comes to high porosity hair, when it comes to hair in general, there are 3 things that you have to look at. You have to look at the moisture content of the hair, you have to look at conditioning or sealing or oils for the hair, and you have to look at the strength of the hair. So we're going to be looking into ingredients under those categories. Now we're going to start with pre-pooing. This is a very important step, especially if you have high porosity hair, because remember we said that your cuticle layer is fragile. You can either have missing shingles on your cuticle layer, or you can have chipped shingles. So you know, high growth fatigue affects it easily if you're gonna be washing your hair. So pre-pooing helps, especially if you pre-poo with coconut oil. I know people don't like coconut oil, but coconut oil works wonders. Coconut oil is high in lauric acid. That lauric acid is a fatty acid. What happens is that it's gonna strengthen your cuticle layer. I understand people have always thought that coconut oil has protein because they heard strengthened in it, right? The strengthening part comes from that fatty acid. Remember, on part 1 of this series we did mention that the cuticle layer is made up of protein and fatty acids. So the fatty acids are also needed to help strengthen the outer layer of your hair. So coconut oil will go in there and it will help in repelling water, or any oil that you choose to use. You can use avocado oil, you can use olive oil, but coconut oil has that special benefit. Coconut oil does not have protein, guys. I've checked and I've checked and I've checked. In coconut milk, on the other hand, it does have protein, but the protein is too big to penetrate into your hair shaft, so it just is on the outside layer of your hair. We'll get into proteins and how they work in a minute. So that's pre-pooing. Let's jump into shampoo. Wash your hair, you remove buildup, you create a clean slate. The main property of a shampoo, regardless of it moisturizing or not, is its surfactant properties, which are surface acting cleansing agents which remove dirt, oil, product buildup. So you have 2 types of surfactants. You have the milder ones, some of them are plant derived, and then you have the harsh ones. So the milder ones, you find them in your moisturizing or cleansing shampoo, and these are cocamidopropane, which is coconut derived, or disodium, I can't pronounce this word guys, I am no chemist, so I'll write it somewhere here. And then the other one is sodium C1416 olefin sulfonate. And one other one that I want to add is the Rasul clay. Rasul clay, or I think all the clays, they do some type of gentle cleansing. These kind of shampoos, you don't remove everything. You use them, I would say, most of the time if you wash your hair on the daily. The clarifying ones, because they are a bit harsher, you use them once in a while. It's necessary that you use them because they remove product buildup, they remove grease. So these sulfates or detergents are called sodium lauryl sulfates. You have ammonium lauryl sulfate, you have sodium lauryl sulfate, and then you have ammonium lauryl sulfate. And then there are other ones that we call chelating shampoos, which have these same surfactants. Most of the time they have these same surfactants and another one called EDTA. I can't pronounce this word because it's a mouthful, guys, so I'll write it somewhere here so you guys can see it. So most of the time they write EDTA, or you can find it with the prefix of disodium EDTA, trisodium EDTA, or tetrasodium EDTA, or sometimes they put an H before the EDTA, but it's still the same thing. All right, it works the same. So that's the shampooing part. So we're gonna now look into the second step, which is the moisturizing, even though it's the first step, because the ingredients you look for moisturizing or hydrating. There's a difference between moisturizing and hydrating. Hydrating is drawing water or moisture from the outside into your hair, and then moisturizing is agents that lock in that moisture, like your oil. Water is nature's inherent moisturizer, meaning that it is the moisture itself. So you need to look for products that have water. Even your shampoos, they should have water as the first ingredient. Like this one has water, and then usually they will have water as the first ingredient, and then the second ingredient will be humectants. Now humectants are hydrants or agents that draw water from the outside into the hair. So there are two types of humectants. You have your normal humectants, and then you have your film forming humectants. The normal humectants, they for molecular structure, they draw water from outside. As long as there is an abundance of moisture on the outside, they can draw that water into your hair, right? And then when it comes to film forming humectants, those are the ones that draw water from the out, regardless whether the water is abundant or not. They can draw moisture from the outside, store it within themselves, and then when your hair needs moisture, they can infuse your hair with that moisture that they've stored in their duplicated molecular structure. I'm not gonna say all of them because the list is the same as the ones for low porosity, which was part 3 of this series, so make sure you watch it so that you get the whole list. Your normal humectants, you have glycerin, sometimes they say vegetable glycerin, by the way, then you have sorbitol, then you have clay leaf extract, and then you have panthenol or provitamin B5. And then the film foaming ones are marshmallow root, slippery elm, okra gel, honeyquat, there's xanthan gum, and then there's guar gum. The film forming ones, they slow down the moisture loss process because they create that flexible wall of moisture around your hair. So you need to make sure that the products that you have at least 1 or 2 humectants. And still on the moisturizers, meaning the oils now, those that lock in the moisture, give your hair that smooth feel. You have oils such as castor oil or Jamaican black castor oil, which is very vital when it comes to high porosity hair because it gives your hair that volume, it thickens your hair and penetrate into your scalp. It promotes hair growth as well. And then you have oils such as sunflower oil, marula oil, grapeseed oil, you have coconut oil, olive oil, avocado oil. Let's move on to conditioning ingredients now that I love looking out for in my products. These improve the feel of your hair. They help your hair to be smooth by locking down moisture, by smoothing down your cuticles so they lie flat. They prevent your hair from freezing. They also help you to manage your hair, to reduce friction when you comb your hair. These are called fatty alcohols, emulsifiers, or emollients. So you have citral or cetyl or sterol alcohol, cetrimonium methosulfate, and then one of my favorite slip guaranteer is the dihydramonium methosulfate. If you can, make sure that you find a product that has this ingredient because it will mean that the product has a lot of slip, so it won't be difficult for you to detangle your hair. And then you have dihydramonium chloride, you have esters, you have sterols, polyquatinium, and then you have propylene cryptolyloglycol, which also acts as a humectant. And then you have your triglycerides. Sometimes they write triglycerides, sometimes they write caprylic or capric, is the same thing. All right, before we get into the strengtheners, as you guys can tell, I'm done. We're gonna take a woo-sa moment, pause a little bit because my throat hurts, okay? And while we pause, can you guys do me a favor? Please hit the notification bell, the subscribe button, and give me a thumbs up. So now we're gonna go into strengtheners. Strengtheners, we mean things that repair, strengthens the outer side of your layer, and also can penetrate into your hair. We're looking at proteins. Now when it comes to proteins, your amino acids, which is like the smallest molecule that penetrate into your hair, and then you have peptides. Peptides are bonds that bond those molecules together to make a fully formed protein. And then that fully formed protein will be hydrolyzed, meaning that it will be broken down to smaller pieces so that it can easily penetrate into your hair or your skin. When you have high porosity hair, you should use both. You can also use proteins with a complex molecular structure that only absorb on the outside layer of your hair, especially if you use heat. A lot of the times you silk press your hair, so you need a little bit of it to strengthen your hair. So you have glycine, betaine, sometimes they say glycine, betaine, sometimes they just write betaine. You have glutamic acid, linen, you have cysteine. These are some of the amino acids that you find on your products. Sometimes they write peptides. It's still the same thing as amino acids, even though they're not really proteins. And then you can have hydrolyzed protein. Hydrolyzed protein, we mean things like hydrolyzed quinoa, hydrolyzed collagen, hydrolyzed wheat germ, hydrolyzed silk, hydrolyzed keratin. Sometimes they just write keratin, hydrolyzed soybean. These are some of the hydrolyzed protein that you find on your product. So make sure that you get a product, especially deep conditioners, with 1 or 2 types of protein. Say after you use your gentle shampoos, use a deep conditioner that has amino acids, right? Because you don't want to overload your hair. And then when you clarify, use a deep conditioner that has more than 1 type of protein. You have your hydrolyzed, and then you have your, maybe say, egg protein, because the egg protein is large. It won't be able to penetrate, but it will work on the outer side part of your cuticle, which means that it will fill in the gaps and it will also create that film. When it comes to strengtheners, we not only look at proteins, there are other things as well that hair consists of that play a role when it comes to the strength of your hair, and those are ceramides. They naturally occur in your hair, but because of the prolonged use of heat, you know, silk pressing, all of those things, they can deplete. So when they deplete, your cuticle, the shingles will be lifted, you have frizz. So you need to use products that have ceramides, because the ceramide act as the glue to glue down the cuticle onto the cortex. Remember we said the cortex is the inner part, and then the cuticle layer is attached to the cortex. So when you use a lot of heat, that can separate, you know, if I may. So you use ceramides so that you can glue them back together, so that your cuticle or your shingles, they can lie flat again. 2 types of ceramides. You have synthetic and you have plant-based one, in wheat germ oil, in safflower oil, grapeseed oil, sunflower oil, and hemp seed oil. And then the synthetic ones, these synthetic ones, apparently they closely mimic the ceramides that are naturally occurring in your hair. These are 2-oleamido and 1,3-octadicanediol ceramide. Sometimes they just write ceramides, sometimes they will put those in there. And one other thing, I'm gonna talk about rice water. I promised to tell you guys about rice water. When it comes to rice water or rice in general has protein. I think it has about 16% protein. That means that if you have low porosity hair and you try to use rice water, you're going to overload your hair with protein, because your structure does not suffer from protein deficiency. The symptoms for protein overload is dry, brittle hair that will break. Rice water, because it's not hydrolyzed, it will strengthen the outer side of your hair, or the outermost layer of your hair structure. So that means that moisture will not be able to penetrate. But when it comes to high porosity hair, because the cuticles, they're already lifted, you need rice water to help to flatten your cuticle layer. So this is why sometimes it does not work for low porosity hair, but it works for somebody with high porosity hair. So it's important for you to understand and learn hair porosity before you use rice water. All right, and one other thing is the egg protein. The egg as a whole has protein, and that protein, especially if you do a DIY, is not broken down enough to penetrate into your hair. So if you use that, make sure that it's after you clarify. I hope that is clear. Pray for me. We're gonna go into product recommendations. I'll be to talk with this in my mouth. These products are some of my favorites. Is none other than, you wanna guess? Fro Girls, a Botswana made product. This is their purring herbal treatment with Brazil clay and moringa. Ingredient number 1 is water, of course, because water is what? Nature's inherent moisturizer. And then the second ingredient is shea butter. It falls under the conditioning ingredients because it has fatty acids that give your hair shine. And third ingredient is moringa leaf powder. Moringa has a whole lot of amino acids amongst other benefits. Moringa has about 18 somewhere there, if able to penetrate into your hair shaft and also to strengthen your cuticle layer. It has amino acids such as leucine, valine. I'll write them somewhere here, guys. Ingredient is rosemary oil. The other ingredient here is rasu clay. That's a conditioning agent and aids in detangling. So this product has a lot of slip. I love this product because it has a lot of slip. The other ingredient is lemongrass. The other one is citronella oil, and that product is Originals by Africa's Best Hair Mayonnaise. I'm sure you guys know this one. Oh, the ORS. I got this for like under 50 pula at discount. Let's check the ingredients. It has water. Yay. It has glycerin, which is a great humectant. It has polyquaternium. Remember we said that polyquaternium helps in reducing frizz. It has perennium liquidinum, which is another word for mineral oils. It has cetyl. We said that cetyl alcohol is for conditioning your hair. I'm not gonna read everything. We're just gonna run through, and I'll write the ingredients here. We have propylene glycol, which is a humectant as well. Trimonia methyl sulfate. Remember I told you guys. So this product has major slip. For those that have used, comment below if you've used this product and share with us your views on this product. And then it has oregano, which is an herb, panthenol, which we did say that it's a humectant, which is B5. It has cholesterol, remember, like ceramides. It's also needed in your hair, strengthening your hair as well. There are those oils that the hair needs so that it stays healthy. And then you have ovum powder. I was looking for this. Ovum powder is egg protein. Now I did mention that the egg protein is large. It's not going to penetrate into your hair shaft. It's going to focus on the outer side layer of your hair. It has safflower oil. So we do say safflower has ceramides in them. Rosemary oil, it has nettle leaf, your horsehair extract, which you have your glycine, which is sort of like an amino acid. So why I use this after I clarified, because it's like, you know, heavy duty work. Well, yeah, that's about it with the product recommendations. I hope you guys will find that helpful. This guide also works for your leave-in conditioners, by the way. So that they have humectants, make sure that they have water, they have conditioning ingredients, protein in them. Once you learn your hair and you understand your hair, it will be easier for you to know what to use. And if you learn how to read ingredients, I know it might seem arduous at first, but you know, the more you practice. That's it for your product guide and all of those. So now we're gonna get into the fun part of the video. Big announcement, giveaway competition announcement. Now this one is huge. I have 2 winners at the end of this competition. We have Ludo Beauty range, then we have the Fro Girls. Here are the instructions in order to participate. Number 1, you have to follow us on Instagram, follow us on Facebook, and make sure that you subscribe a YouTube channel at Bantu Slap. That's instruction number 1. All right, and then number 2 is like all videos under this series, part 1 all the way to this video, part 5. All right, on our YouTube channel. That's instruction number 2. And then instruction number 3 is comment the 2 humectants you have learned on this series under this video. YouTube competition is going to be running for 2 full weeks. Okay, good luck guys. Thank you for joining me today. Thank you for giving me a portion of your time.